You told me about glass block floors in the
Yes,
building as well.
above the first floor, to let light in, what they had done is they had the center section of the floors were glass blocks, and this went all the way up to the top. But that's how they gathered their light in those real tall windows, and of course they had kerosene lanterns and that kind of stuff. But the majority of daytime light came in through those block floors and the ceiling, which
And this
was
was in the 1843 building
correct. Right,
originally.
right.
And those sections were in the wards, the kind of the wings,
Right.
um, east and west. Okay. And you've also told me about what I interpreted as an original sprinkler system and your inspection of
Right,
that.
yeah.
Was that different than the system?
Yeah,
you
so
talked about
it was
previously?
what had happened is over the years, they had updated the sprinklers. Okay, well, this one pocket of sprinklers, the only way to get it would have been to dig a hole through the lawn and come down through the top to get this stuff out of here. But it was functional, and what it was unique. You'd walk and see all this brass, and the brass. I mean, the brass had been long gone. Brass is expensive, and but you'd walk in there. It was like walking into 1891. I mean, here's the sprinkler system with these valves and these wonderful gauges and stuff, and it was like a train that was opened up and exposed, and it was really the gauges and the knurling and the machining that was done on this stuff, and it's just stuff you just don't see anymore. And I says, well, this is an antique sprinkler system, and I've never seen one of these. I'm probably never going to see another one. But obviously, I think when people they sell it for scrap, the brass scrap, even in those days, would have been substantial,
Right.
you know. And now well, since they tore the wings down, I have a suspicion that they probably pulled all that stuff out of there, and they probably scrapped it out. I'm thinking.
Well, I don't have any other specific questions. Anything else that you're remembering that you'd like to talk about, or?
The historical, what happened, and that was so much a part of the community that what it is now, it's like a shadow that it seems like it should be more important than what they've made of it. I mean, I've been to all the other psych centers, Willard, I've been to Syracuse. None of them have the panache that Utica's got. The old Utica Lunatic Asylum is all the darkness that went along with mental health, and most of the cutting edge opening of mental health, mental health treatment started at Utica Psych, and yeah, innovative. Some of the doctors were crazier than the patients, but for the most part, it was not bedlam. It was we're doing the best we can, and we're going to do it. You didn't abuse a patient ever. This was the attitude. Was these people can't help the way they are, and you were here to make sure they get a good night's sleep, and I think that was shared. And I think it's a shame now because it's gotten to a point where it's like a nuisance. And it wasn't a nuisance before. It's part of the community.
In the 1930s and 1940s, I read just this morning, the Utica State Hospital was known throughout the country as the mother of mental health hospitals, because so many directors and supervisors of hospitals all throughout the country had been trained at Utica, that there was just an enormous association. So I think you're right, that its importance is much different than a lot of the other facilities that were built.
Right.
Even not too long afterwards.
Right.
But it had a real central role. So that's all I've got, Tom.
Well,
Appreciate very much your coming in. And
I have a question.
yeah.
When you talk about the gyms in Old Main Building,
Yes.
did they both have the stages on them, or we have some pictures of the gymnasium with a stage also at one end, and we weren't sure what building it was in.
that was the one on the right side.
But it was
That was on the it's the McPike alcohol treatment side. Okay, and you can actually walk through the basements and come up because they were giant steam tunnels. That's how they used to heat the place. I think they still do. They still run steam. But the left side was a basketball court. There was nothing else in it. There were the two basketball. The right side is where that place that you're talking about, okay, with the, you know, and I'm trying to picture it, and I don't know why I'm having such a hard time picturing the right where I knew the left so well. Maybe because it was obstructed, where I had a difficult time walking through it, and I might have avoided it for that. Okay, just simply if the room was hard to go through, why do it? I'll go around it. And yeah, they were kind of unique because you would look at the building and say, how does this house something this big, you know, inside it? It was remarkable. Okay. When I say getting lost, I mean, we had safety officers get lost and call on the radio.
Wow.
They'll come in here and get me out of here, you know, and you know, I'm stuck someplace, my keys aren't working, you know, and I go, well, you know, the other, just as a side note, as the floors started to go bad, now this is ghost stuff, okay? What happened was they started to lift. Well, when you walked in there, nobody had walked in there for a week or so, you step down, when you got about 30 feet down, the floor would go pop. And you look around, who the hell's following me? And it was a duplication of your footsteps when you're coming in 30 feet behind you. The floor would go pop, pop, pop. And at the same pace as you're walking. And it was grisly. Oh, yeah. And I had, you know, I had my friend, and he was a bodybuilder. He was about 6'4". But he wouldn't go in there. And I go, scaredy cat, scaredy cat. Oh, and I run away from you. I'll go in Old Main. Yeah, it was, and back in those days, it was, you know, from up until about 86, those were good jobs. I mean, they really were. It was, the pay had just gotten to the point where it was something you could live on without having another job. And it was, and it was a communal thing. Okay, you know, nobody talked down to you. It was a, you know, we're all part of the team, type of a thing. And then it started toward the end there. It started getting a little bit ugly because the jobs were going away and they were closing things up, and you know, everybody's worried about, you know, who's going to be the next one out the door, you know. So, but
So there's no security officers there now?
oh yeah, they still have a staff of 12 there. The reason that they're still there though is community residences. They still do the safety for community residences. So like all these outreach places, they have to do them for fire safety, fire drills. If there's trouble, they're the responding law enforcement agency. They're the initiators to come in if they need somebody else. They call it an outside agency for backup. But yeah, that's what saved Rome. They still have, I think, six or seven safety officers there, you know, for the community residences. They don't wear uniforms anymore, you know. But
I think the guys at Utica do wear uniforms.
yes, they do. They still have the blue.
I've seen them when I went into the building.
Right. Yeah. We were. That was actually a genuine police agency. That was a rough neighborhood, still is. But we had a lot of arrests. You know, we had burglaries. We had petty theft, disorderly conduct. You know, so it was an active campus. I enjoyed it. I mean, basically, I was there when I was young and healthy and strong, and I didn't mind it. You know, then I was got toward 50. I said, "Nah, I'm not going to stay here anymore. I'm tired of wrestling with these people." You know. So I went up to Central, and but it was yeah, it was a career, you know, and I enjoyed it, and it was just kind of sad to see see what it's turned into.
Right.